Eccoci qui, buongiorno a tutti. Questa è una puntata, la prima puntata di un podcast che intitoliamo Europe Meets America. All'interno del nostro podcast inseriamo anche queste puntate che riguardano appunto i rapporti tra Europa e Stati Uniti, alcune altre questioni di geopolitica, quindi è con me Sven Oheme, presidente della European American Business Administration. È una persona di grande valore sia professionale che umano, mi sento di dire, è un avvocato che ha rapporti, che cura anche professionalmente rapporti commerciali internazionali tra Europa e Stati Uniti, e quindi penso che sia una delle persone più competenti e piacevoli da ascoltare per quanto riguarda questo tipo di relazioni. Ecco, adesso iniziamo l'intervista con Sven. Hi Sven.
Hi, thank you for the introduction. And unfortunately, I don't speak enough Italian to really do this.
You are good in Italian too. You are good in Italian too, but today we do in English everything. Okay. First question about the relationship between Europe and USA. What do you think about the last Trump statements on tariffs?
Well, I mean, I don't think it was surprising. It was just the confirmation what had been announced before. And especially for the automobile industry, it's obviously something to deal with, see how they can reduce the tariffs for the customers. That's what it is going to come down. But the car industry is interesting because a lot of companies, not a lot, but a good number of companies have established factories in Mexico for the U.S. market. And of course, they will now face the tariffs when they bring the cars to the U.S. Canada is also producing cars for the U.S. and is also producing a lot of components. So people say some components that later go into a car can cross the border 6 times. So it's really a question, when do the tariffs apply? Do they apply every time the component goes across? So there are still details that need to be worked out and I guess will be worked out.
Thank you. And does he just want Europe to spend more on NATO, or does he want to subjugate it economically?
Now, I think the first part of your question, does he want to Europe to spend more on NATO? There's no question that he does want Europe to spend. Also, many Americans believe, why do we have to spend all this money on Ukraine and on keeping the military in Europe? They should pay their share too. And there has been this ongoing discussion that started under the first Trump administration that he said the countries in Europe, they should pay 2% of their GDP annually for defense. And there are still some countries that are not doing that. On the other hand, you have countries that spend or have announced that they will spend up to 6% of GDP. Obviously, those countries are closer to Russia, so they fear more of a threat from Russia. And they want to be ready to counter any such threat. So he doesn't, and to the second part of your question, I don't think he wants to curtail the economic strengths of Europe. And you talked about how strong Europe really is economically, because yes, it's a large, when you put all the countries together, it's a large economy. But it's also many of the components, the countries are not doing well at the moment. So their GDP is not growing. So it's something that one has to really look at. And I don't think the goal is to destroy the European economy, besides the fact that wouldn't be possible for anybody.
Yes. And the American companies supported Trump in the election campaign. So
yeah, but can I add something to that comment that you just made?
Yes.
There are also many U.S. companies that are engaged in Europe. Europe is the largest recipient of U.S. foreign direct investment over the years. So there are many companies who are active in Europe, U.S. companies, and obviously they have no interest that the European economy would suffer.
Yes, I agree. And how should Europe behave with Trump now, for you?
Well, Europe, I think we're at a point which is unfortunate, where we have new people in the White House, in the administration, who just haven't had experience with trade over many years. And we also have a new commissioner. There's a new trade commissioner in Europe who has not been handling trade before. And that's unfortunate, because in the discussion, when you follow it, there's always this discussion about trade of goods, meaning boxes that are sent overseas. That's one thing. But and there, Europe has a surplus towards the US. But when you look at services, technology, and so on, the delivery of those services, there the US has a surplus. So it's not also so one-sided as people always make one to believe, that the trade is only goods, tangible things. It's also services, and that has to be considered. And there's another aspect: the economic relationship between Europe and the US. A major component are investments, and they're each other's largest investor. Europe in the US and US in Europe. So. And in my view, investments are more important even than trade, because trade you can stop from one day to the next. But if you have invested in building a factory or so, you don't want to shut it down. You want to keep it running and produce. And so I think it's always, by the media, the journalists, very one-sided when they only talk about the trade relationship. And then they only talk about the trade relationship of goods, of tangible things, not of services.
Yes, and in your opinion, who is the European leader just ready to talk with Trump now?
Well, the new European Trade Commissioner was in Washington for 24 hours, and then he flew off to China. So, and he apparently didn't achieve anything during that time. And that's unfortunate. That's why I said there's no, on both sides, we're lacking people who have experience in trade and the trade issues, the investment issues. And then if you come to the US, you have to see that you can speak to those people that are now in charge, and maybe tell them what's going on, what the actual economic, and I'm saying economic now, relationship between Europe and the US is, because it's investment. There are 60 million jobs on both sides of the Atlantic that are supported by foreign direct investment from Europe and the US. So that's a major part of the economy on both sides. And that doesn't show up in the discussions. And that's very unfortunate. The Europeans also have good arguments that they could make towards the US. And there's almost the similar arguments that the US could make towards Europe. because this is a very good, solid relationship that has existed and has been built up for many years. And it's the largest economic relationship in the world. And those arguments have to be made. And if people maybe not pay attention, you have to make them over and over and over again until they get it on both sides.
Thank you. And now I appreciate your opinion about some quotes. I begin. Elon Musk. Our goal is to reduce the waste and fraud by 4 billion a day, every day, 6 days a week. What do you think about Doge, Sven? It is an action marketing, or it is serious?
In any sophisticated economy, and also maybe a less sophisticated economy, you have a bureaucracy that is out of control. And so I think it's good, and it would also be good in Europe if they had an Elon Musk who cuts in Brussels, but also in other cities. So that's appreciated to an extent, because when people are losing their jobs, then of course there will be concerns about that, and more people will be concerned. So while initially there was support, or is support, as you go along and as more and more people are out of work, there will be total criticism. Another thing that one has to watch, and that's not so much watched in Europe, is the stock market in the US. If it keeps going down, that's a problem for any administration, for any president, because many people are invested in the stock market for their retirement. And if they see, I'm losing, yesterday the Dow Jones was down 700%, at 700 points. So if that keeps going like this, they will be concerned. They say, well, what am I going to do when I retire? Where's the money going to come from? So that is something that the administration also has to be focused on.
Yes. Another quote. Trump, about international relationship. Trump, we need Greenland for international security. We have to have Greenland. It's not a question of, do you think we can do without it? We can't. Sven, is it gambling?
Well, he wants to get Greenland, that's clear. If he's going to get it, we will see. And that is, of course, a major issue, because you have 2 NATO countries, members of NATO, that are going to argue about a major island that is gaining importance for security, because as the ice melts and as the shipping routes past Greenland and over the kind of past the North Pole, as that water becomes passable for ships, there is, of course, the question, how secure is it? And also there are more warships in the area. So that is an issue. And it should also be an issue for Greenland, because they don't want to be in the middle of a military conflict in the end, I guess. So we'll see how that develops. But it is certainly something where we need a clear solution at some point. The U.S. already has a major presence in the northern part of Greenland, and it remains to be seen how negotiations can be handled. Because with military force, what can you do? I mean, it's easy to take over Greenland, because nobody is probably going to fight back. And but that's going to obviously have repercussions on many of the other relationships between countries, between the US and Europe.
Same situation, Canada and US had a diplomatic standoff or not?
Well, Canada is going to have an election at the end of May. I think it's at the end of May. And they will probably vote in favor of this new prime minister. And they will not vote on anybody who says, well, we should become part of the U.S. It's also a question that has been raised that the U.S. is, if you look at the map of the states, they're big, individual states. But if Canada would not fit into that category because it has, I think, one of the largest land masses in the world, and it has you have Alberta, you have Saskatchewan, you have Quebec, and so on and so forth. So there are also many individual, I don't know, I think what they're called provinces or so, but I don't see that happening.
Thank you. The last one, Bill Gates. We will still need the humans, not for more things. We'll decide. There will be some things that we reserve for ourselves, but in terms of making things and moving things and growing food, over time those will be basically solved problems. What is your vision, Sven?
Well, I was listening to Bill Gates 2 or 3 days ago, and he says what he does now full time is run the Gates Foundation. And he said they will continue to stay engaged, especially in Africa. And they will also try to make up what the U.S. may not be doing anymore because they cut the aid. So he was fairly optimistic that they can, at least to a large extent, continue what they are doing and will continue to do. And on AI, he said AI is helping us doing this because AI can provide solutions based on what has been done in the past.
Yes, but this is his vision about AI and is almost not the same. Not the same vision of Musk, not the same vision of Bezos or other people. Why?
Well, I think they're all in favor of AI moving ahead, and there are no obstacles really in the US that you have in Europe, where you have the AI Act, and that's a problem. So
the AI Act is aware of Sven.
Yeah, and obviously they will. When U.S. companies are in Europe, active in Europe, they have to obey the AI Act. But I think they see that there may be certain risks involved, but they still want to obviously push ahead with it, because they also say, and Bill Gates said that the other day, it can also save time because we can respond faster. So we can use AI as a tool, if I interpret that, what was said and what others have said.
Yes. Thank you, Sven. Okay. For the moment, our conversation is over, but I hope to see you soon, and so we can do another episode.
Yeah, we will. I mean, I'm following these developments very closely, and so if there's a real new development, I will let you know.
Yes,
and the listeners.
Yeah, things go on very faster, and so we have to speak a lot of time, and I hope very soon.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Sven. Thank you very much. Have a good day.
You too.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.